What's going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Reform Felon podcast, where we're on a mission to help 10 people that are straddling the fence, 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the streets, help them cross over to where the grass is much greener. I'm your host, Art Hughes, Reform Felon Extraordinaire. And today we want to just tap into a little bit of conversation about the reality that street life is hard to get out. There's no other way around it. It's easy to jump in because your environment, a lot of it is environment. But once you get in and you start making a little money and you start dressing different and getting a little bit of attention from the girls, it's hard to get out. Like Hov say, man, it's two sides of what substance abuse is. The side of where you're using the drugs and you're addicted to that, but the side that don't nobody talk about is when you moving the drugs and you getting a little bit of notoriety, you getting a little bit of money, you getting a little bit of, you starting to look a little better, you start kicking a little harder, that type of stuff is addictive, especially when the girls get involved and the girls like you because you dress nice and you make a few bucks and you drive a nice car. That's super addictive, and it's hard to let that feeling go. It's hard to let that feeling go. Trust me, I had that feeling for quite a while, and it was tough. It was tough to really say, this is the route I'm going, no matter what, and I'm never going back to this type of lifestyle. I mean, I've tried it. It's like I tried to stop smoking for a long time. Tried to stop smoking, and it's addictive. Like, I tried to stop. I start hustling and selling dope at 13. I first tried to get out at 16. I tried to go to a Job Corps, but I ended up catching a case and couldn't go. I tried to get out and go back to school, but I ended up using the money from the FAFSA, flipping the money, and I wasn't paying attention in school. I wasn't a good student. I still had the residue from smoking a lot of weed. My brain was still kind of fried, so I couldn't really retain the information. And I really didn't want to, because I'm in school for all the wrong reasons. I'm getting that $3,000-$4,000 check, and I'm right back at it. I tried to go get jobs and quit cold turkey. It was like, okay, I got this job. We making, we doing working every day, keeping me out of the mix. And then I lose that job, and it's like, man, what am I going to do now? Well, I know how to do this. Let me jump right back to it and make me some money real quick until I find a job. That type of stuff, now, it doesn't really happen like that. So what I did is as I start growing, I start finding ways to elevate and add skills to my life, simply because it's so hard and it takes a long time to get out. I had to add some skills, and I made some investment. Hindsight, that's what I did. I didn't realize what it was. I mean, because I've tried to go to school. I went to school for welding. I went to school for basic construction. I went to school for auto body technician. I did all that and nothing came of it, because when you pay attention. All that stuff was free. All that stuff was free. I was just like, hey, I just show up when I can. Didn't really, care about what they were talking about. Yeah, I've tried to learn the skills. The only cool thing that I did like is the auto body stuff. Because once we got to start painting cars, that was the cool part of it. But I never made anything of it because it was free. When you pay attention. I made an $80 investment. I made an $80 investment in a one-day class to get my tow motor license. And that was a game changer for me. It was a game changer. And I'm talking about, I was 24 years old. After trying to go to Job Corps at 16, going to the community college at like 18. I went twice to get that little check. But after, going to these different schools at 20, 21, 22, from 16 to 24, I was trying to get out. And then I made an investment of $80. And that investment took me from a $5.50. I think the minimum wage was $5.50 back in 04. Now I can look that up. 04 in Ohio, $5.50, $5.15. It took me from that to a $9 an hour job, and from 9 to 14 just by that one investment. That one investment. And I wasn't really thinking of it like that as the light bulb didn't really go off, but I made that investment to make more money, just like you do when you are in the streets. Like you take this money and you buy that re-up. You buy that re-up, and once I learned how to like cook it up myself, I made a lot more money. So I added a skill here, and then I was able to level up. Once I was able to stretch that joint and I learned a new skill, then I was able to level up. And the same thing on this side of the fence. I paid that $80, 1 day class, I was able to level up. And then like 5 years later, I made another investment to get my CDL, add that skill, and guess what? I leveled up. So hindsight's 2020. Once I started making the investments in myself, which wasn't like super intentional, like, yeah, I'm about to go and buy this course like I do now. Like I'll go and buy a course. Like, oh, I need to learn that. Okay, let me buy this course. Let me go through this course and then apply what I need to know to be able to level up and make more money. I wasn't thinking like that back then. Now I do, but it just so happens to me paying $80 and then getting my CDLs take me from 14 to like $23 an hour. You know what I mean? So the skills, the acquisition of skills is 100% going to get you to at least the next level. What you do with those skills from there and make more investments. If you make more investments, that'll help you get to a whole nother level. So what I do now is I make investments in books. I have like 150 books throughout this house somewhere, and I consistently just buying more as I read things. And some books, I give books away to people when we have things that I give books away. Well, my wife always gives my books away. But I make these investments in myself because I know what it takes to level up. I know the time that it took. And I'm on here to, hopefully be able to shorten your learning curve and to help you, give you some key things that can be implemented in your life to be able to cut that learning curve down. 14 years was a long time. Like I tried. But it wasn't until I started making those investments where it still took a long time because I'm 24. I didn't make it out of the streets completely 100% where I never turned back until I was 30. But when I got that license that say I could drive a truck, that was it. I said I'd never go back, and was able to build a solid foundation just off of that. And even if that's not the vehicle that you choose to use to get you to the next level, whatever that vehicle might be, just know it's going to take some time. Just know that it's going to take work. It's going to take patience. People always say, well, some of the people that I follow always say, if you want to be more patient, do things that require patience. You want to be more disciplined, do things that require discipline. That's why right now to this day, I'm doing things that I've known that I am not the most disciplined person when it comes to my health. So I've been doing something that requires me to be disciplined, requires me to be uncomfortable. And I mean, I'm 15 days in, and I've been doing the right thing. It's a 75-day program, and I'm working on my discipline and my leadership in my business. I'm not the best leader, so I'm doing things that require my leadership. I'm reading up on books that require my leadership. So when it comes to making these like transitions over that hump to get out and make it out of the streets, you have to practice the patience. The patience is key. I mean, I know we live in this world where everybody wants things like that, and that's just not how it works. That's just not how it works. But I'm here to cut your learning curve. I'm definitely here to cut your learning curve. If I can shave off a couple years of you making it out of the streets, I'm good with that. If I can help you get out the streets within a year, man, I'm good. I'm okay with that. But you have to be patient. It's gonna take a while. It's gonna take work. It's gonna take discipline. It's gonna take a strategy to figure it out how you want to get out, what type of vehicle you want to take. But first, the mind has to shift. First, you have to be able to want this. It's not going to work if you don't really want it. It's not going to work if you, all right, I'm going to do this and it's too hard. All right, I'm going to go back. You're never going to make it out. But you have to want it, stick with it, and see that thing all the way through. So, practice the patience. I would say practice the patience. Realize that it's going to take some time. It's going to take some work. It's going to take some discipline. And you got to be relentless when it comes to that. Don't let nothing or anybody stop you from that mission. I don't care if it's your friends, the homies that you kick it with that are in the streets. Nah. You got to move around. It's okay to take a pause and work on yourself. It's okay to get out, to get out that environment for a minute and do things that you want to do. There's a lot of the folks that you run across as they, you grow, you realize like, man, I'm kind of better than that. Like I want to do this over here. These are things that I want to do. It's kind of like performative when you are this quote unquote street dude. Like you be this person because that's what the environment wants you to be. And you have to be this macho guy or girl. You have to be this tough guy. You got this pride and ego. I tell you, man, like all the fights that I've been into, we done been into some wild bar fights, wild street fights. I'd have been into some fights, just one-on-ones. None of them was really about nothing. Somebody said something. Some girl did something. Some girl said something. Really wasn't about nothing to be socking people in the face or getting socked in the face over. Nothing. Because you don't have the conflict resolution skills to be able to diffuse the situation. And like I said, it's performative because the environment calls for this animal that you have to become. But then once you realize that, once you get out and start learning and start developing your EQ, your emotional intelligence, and you develop these conflict resolution skills, and as you reflect and go back, like, man, all of that shit, all of the fights that I had, all that was for nothing. Nothing at all. Like, I've been in so many fights that it wasn't even about nothing, that we could have just walked away. It wasn't even about nothing, but your ego and pride get in the way. And there you go. You got conflict. So don't care about what people think. Don't care about what people say. It's okay to take a step back, work on yourself, figure some things out, reflect, sit down and come up with a plan and execute that plan. If you got to be, I mean, now I understand, folks, you got to go out and make money, whatever, to put food on the table, whatever. But take a little bit of time for yourself, and then in those downtimes, take some time and put a plan together and say, this is what I'm going to do. I want to be out of this. I'm gonna work on myself. I'm gonna learn. I'm gonna read. I'm gonna grow. I'm gonna invest money into some books. Invest my time into going to some courses and going to events. Being around people that are doing things that I want to do. These free events. I'm telling you, these free events you can at least get to. That's around your cities, the local free joints. You can at least sit there and just meet people, even if you're not like the most social person. Just being around that energy, is, I thought it was insane that people didn't grow up the way that I grew up. Like, once you start getting around folks like, oh, that ain't what y'all, no, this ain't, grew up totally different, you know, and that's okay. And that's okay. I mean, makes your success that much sweeter because of the circumstances that you come from. It makes your success. The story that you have, coming from the bottom, coming from the trap, whatever, seeing your friends die, all of this. And then you make it out of that and become successful, it makes the story that much sweeter. And with that being said, like, subscribe, share this with your nephew, your cousin, your son, anybody you want to see make it out the streets. Until next time, see you next week.